Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, coming at you live to talk about episode 12 of the anime series Shokugeki no Soma, Sen no Sara, or the Third Plate. For all intents and purposes, the mid-season finale of a sort, because apparently there's going to be a break and the show's not going to be back until spring 2018. And it's kind of interesting. I'm looking on my anime list, and they have an article that says, okay, this is going to be the second core, the continuation of season 3. But then they also have a listing that announces it as being season 4. So I don't know which of those it's actually supposed to be. But there is going to be a break, and the show will be back early into next year as of the time of this recording. And so that's interesting. I didn't expect that. A lot of people going into this season had, put forth the idea, oh, it's probably going to be 24 episodes. And I think we all assumed straight on through to the end. And so, but no, there's going to be a break. And like I say, in a couple of months, we'll come back and we'll see how the story continues on. As for this episode, it kind of went a little bit how I assumed and speculated it would, as far as who the loser would be in this unofficial Shokugeki challenge between Tsukasa and Soma. I did not expect Soma to win, and I still, I couldn't wrap my mind around, his winning or losing. I didn't know how this was going to shape up. And I'm sure I put forth a speculation that somebody might intervene and say, well, this was unofficial, even if Soma loses, he doesn't have to become part of Central and all this kind of stuff. That stipulated aspect where he would either, if he won, he would get the first seat of the Elite 10 off of Tsukasa, or if he lost, he'd have to become part of Central and become Tsukasa's right-hand man. Because it was an unofficial proceeding, neither one of them, whoever won and lost, wouldn't necessarily have to honor that agreement and such like that. I didn't know exactly how this was going to play out. And I was wondering, even as of the previous episode, who was going to judge it anyway? Oh, what are they going to do? Judge themselves? And oh, yeah, there's no conflict of interest there. I'm eating my own dish, and I think it's better than yours, So, of course, you have Arina and Megumi, and is it Hisako? I can never remember her name. They've been eavesdropping outside of the room the whole time since the previous episode, and when they're looking for someone to judge, Soma just walks over to the window. It's like, hi, girls. He knew the whole time they were there, Would you mind helping us out? Would you mind tasting these dishes and figuring out which is the better? And it was just really interesting to me once everything is said and done, and Arina casts the vote for them all after they've tasted these dishes. Well, Tsukasa does, in fact, win. And rather than, keeping Soma beholden to that agreement, because he says pointedly, Tsukasa says, this was unofficial. This wasn't an actual Shokugeki to begin with. So he kind of backpedals. He's kind of like, I'm not going to hold you to this agreement. I'm not going to make you become part of Central and become my right-hand man, my apprentice or my servant or whatever like that, because quite frankly, I would have all kinds of anxiety if you, Soma Yukihira, were working for me. I can see, even though you are not, you are shades away from being on my level, on par with my culinary skills and mastery, even though that is thoroughly acknowledged by pretty much everybody, even Soma himself. He's exhilarated tasting Tsukasa's dish and knowing, hey, this is so much better than what I did. But, even in spite of that, Soma is not going to follow rules. He's very much about doing things on the fly and creating his own culinary dishes and all this stuff. I mean, that's what he does in this challenge. And so you have Tsukasa I would be anxietized. I would tell you to go make a dish and you'd go do something else. You'd make something, your own concoction, and I'd constantly have to be watching and worrying about you and all that kind of stuff. So he's like, hey, this is unofficial. I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm not losing the first seat, even though I bested you in this particular challenge. I'm not going to hold you to becoming my right-hand man and working for me and joining Central. And it's kind of funny because Soma's like, but I lost. I should honor this. And everyone's telling him, shut the hell up. I'm sitting there like, dude, shut up. You got off easy here. Even though you lost, use it as a lesson learned, like is your habit to do. And I love Shinomiya at the beginning they reflect back on him, and he's like, he's even saying, out of all the people that I've ever encountered, Soma's like one of those rare examples of somebody who I actually was impressed with. And he's like, man, Soma, to himself, of course, take that first seat. you know. And so I loved calling over to Shinomiya and getting an idea of what he might be thinking along those lines. Even if I don't think he has any awareness of this unofficial thing. It was a very spur-of-the-moment thing. I doubt anybody had any time to go call him and say, hey, you know what? Soma's got this thing going on. And then, of course, we have this grand confrontation, once again, with Azami. Primo bastard that he is. He knows that Arina is staying at Polar Star, and they're all having celebrations. We see Nikumi, as well as Megumi, and the glasses dude from Polar Star, whose name I don't think I've ever learned. All three of their research little facilities in Totsuki, they all succeeded in besting their particular Shokugekis against Central. So they all get to stay in operation, which is pretty dope. But, so they're all celebrating this. And here comes Azami, and it seems like he's there pointedly to go after Arina. But it follows a conversation where somebody's like, I think sort of the turning point in all of this, the instigator in all of this is Yukihiro Soma. He's the guy we should be watching out for. And so Azami's like, oh, you mean the boy from Polar Star? And this is what instigates seemingly his going to Polar Star, wherein he finds Arina. And it seems like he's there to forcibly take her with him, and nobody wants that. And you have the old lady coming down being like, as a former member, how dare you come back here with everything you're doing to Totsuki and everything. You were going to try to have this place shut down, and you show your face here, and everyone is like gobsmacked and awestruck. We, the viewer, know his history. None of them did. And it's quite intriguing, because then the revelations start flowing left, right, and center. And the biggest one, I don't know where my mind has been at. I was completely shocked at the revelation that Arina did not, to this point, know who Soma's father was, that they were kin, that they were father and son. For some reason, and I think it's just the space in between each of the seasons, the respective seasons of this series, everyone else who has become familiar with, who he is and everything, Joichiro, whatever like that. I think somewhere along the lines, I confused it in my head that Arina knew who his father was. And so when she, when that other leg drops and Soma reveals to Azami, oh, that's my father. Didn't you know? And Arina's running like, I thought she was running to try to stop Soma from revealing this, from talking too much, revealing too much to her father, for fear of somehow his influence being more pointed towards Soma or something, endangering Soma, whatever like that. So when Azami is surprised, I was like, okay, he didn't know. And what's more, everything he's doing there, it's somehow related to Soma's father. It's like he wants to flip the entire culinary medium within Japan on its side, because the way it has thus far been running was something that, spurned Soma's father, made him a failure, made him not live up to the highest esteem that Azami seems to hold for him. And so that was intriguing. It's like, okay, like here Azami holds him in such high esteem. And I guess he considers Soma's father going and opening up the little diner and this little eatery and all this stuff, when he is so capable and so skilled. I guess he sees that as a slight that the culinary medium, played out on Soma's father. And so he kind of megalomaniacally wants to switch it all up, wants to forcibly shut it all down, burn it all down, and then recreate it in his master's image, in a sense. So that's all gobsmacking. But then, as I say, with Arena coming out, I thought she was going to try to persuade Soma not to reveal his lineage, because I had just taken it for granted at this point that she knew. And then you see her reacting with that shock and awe and surprise, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Did I have this all wrong in my head? I must have confused the lines somewhere, because I had just started to take it for granted that she knew who he was, who his family lineage was, who his bloodline was. But no, this is where she finds out, apparently for the first time as well. And we just kind of leave off with that lingering in the air, with that message of Azami. How Soma's father is very, very influential and impactful on what Azami is trying to do. And the intrigue born out of that, the potential conflict, the characterization, the interpersonal interconnectivity that now will be going on between Arena and Soma, really, really becomes tantalizing. Really becomes compelling now all of a sudden with that revelation. I can only assume, much as has been hinted in the OP, that this will open her eyes in a grandiose way towards Soma. At least that's my hope. I would really hope so. And I don't know to what ends. I don't know to what lengths that might go, whether romantically or something, camaraderie or whatever. But if if I wanted anything else from a sort of mid-season cliffhanger episode, it's to have suddenly all of this chomping at the bit, at the edge of my seat, questions, overhanging mystery and excitement as this episode leaves off with. I cannot wait for this show to come back and dive right back into it and see what in the hell happens from this point on. I couldn't even begin to guess or speculate. And I think I said pretty much the same thing in the last episode. And that is exciting. It's absolutely paramount and tantamount to be so gobsmacked and so like, I have no idea where this is going to go. And I am so extremely excited. I want to fast forward to when this show is back to see. So yeah, that is this episode in a nutshell. Forgoing my just mind trip and thinking all along Arena knew who his father was and all that stuff. It adds that much more depth and intrigue, now realizing, oh wait, okay, Johnny had that wrong in his head, and now what is it going to mean for the scenario that she now does know that. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this particular episode 12 of Sen no Sara, if you've seen it as well, the third plate, again. And were you surprised that the show's taking a break and not coming back till spring? Were you aware of that? But yeah, love it or hate it, anything goes in the comments below. Were you shocked? Were you surprised? Did you think, if you're familiar with the source manga and everything like that, are you happy with the translation? Did they get all the punches and the twists and turns down fluidly and effectively enough for your tastes? And yeah, it's going to be some time before we get back to it, but I can't wait for it. And yeah, so otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.